Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sid's Foodcast, the food podcast where me and my guests talk about food, our love for food, and everything in the name of food. This is your host, Sid, and welcome to the show. For today's episode, I have Mimi Hibilagin Biswas, and we talked about her business, Taza Mia. We also talked about locally sourced coffee, cakes, chocolates, and a lot more. Enjoy the episode.
Oh, last meal. This is a little interesting because my son, who is already 17 years old, while having his online classes, still actually has to have PE classes. Okay? Online PE classes. Who would have
Mhm.
thought? So they have like weight goals. So this is like a big intro into what I actually ate right before the podcast. Um, he's avoiding rice altogether, so he doesn't eat rice. So what we do have, we try to replace rice with a different kind of, bulk. You have
Mhm.
to have something, right? So this week it's boiled cooking bananas or plantain bananas. So
Mm.
that's what we had. That's what I had, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it?
So
That's it? That's it
that's
for
it
dinner. For
because
dinner.
that's for the night. But
Mm-hmm.
I normally try to make something special, especially for dinner, since that's the only proper meal he really gets during like every day. So but today was a bit busy, so we ended up just having that. But he did have some meat. We cooked some pork liver,
Uh-huh.
like in an afritada kind of sauce
Ooh.
from lunch. So it was leftover pork liver in
Mm-hmm.
afritada sauce and the plantain bananas. That's it
Yeah,
for
I don't.
him.
Okay. I don't know like the combination of substituting rice for afritada, but afritada definitely works well with rice. Um, speaking about the rice, there's I don't know because Filipinos definitely love rice, and then suddenly there's this thing of the no rice thing. I remember like that was a thing back then, like a few years back. I tried doing no rice, but they would say, "Oh, stay away from rice." And you tell that one to a Filipino, like just basically say like stay away from breathing or something like that.
Are you giving me a death sentence?
Stay away from rice? Are you kidding me? That's like like sometimes even like something it could be like 70% of your meal. And you're taking away that
Exactly.
and then
Um,
it's so hard to do that and but then people saying oh rice is bad for you and then of course I got caught into it like you know what if I'm gonna lose weight maybe I'll have no rice and then I'll just eat adobo like who who the hell just eats adobo with no rice but
Nobody does that. That's
I did
sacrilege.
that. I did that because we don't have this idea of okay, if we remove rice, is that a meal? Is that
Mhm.
technically a meal? But for Filipinos, that's not a meal. That's just like a snack. But then, if you're following the strict diet of not having rice, I guess then we should learn to kind of mingle it with other types of grains. That's why um,
Mhm.
my mom would use like quinoa and rice together, brown rice and quinoa together.
I've never
Sometimes
had
even
quinoa.
it's okay. It's okay. Like it could be rice, but it's not as
It
good
could
as.
be rice. It's pretend rice. Oh,
Hmm.
well, we do try to make it a little healthier. Our rice. We mix black rice with
Black
our
rice is
white
good.
rice.
Hmm.
So it's not all black because black rice is a little nutty and
Hmm.
it's a little too dry oftentimes. So it's easier to eat with when it's mixed with white rice. So that's
Oh,
what
and
we.
I just came to terms that you know what I cannot just say that I will not have rice, and if you're kidding me if you're having Filipino dishes, you say oh I'm in a no rice diet, and then your food is lechon, adobo, humba, and then you're gonna have a no rice diet. Are you gonna replace it with bread?
It's so difficult. You can't even imagine. replacing it with the usual, like, Western bulk, if you were to call it, like with potatoes.
Right.
Can you imagine eating stuff like Filipino food, like sinigang with
Potatoes.
potatoes, mashed potatoes or something? So
Mm,
it can be difficult.
mm,
What I do sometimes when I try to avoid rice, just like how my son does it. Um, you know how the Korean food
mm-hmm.
um became this massive thing in the Philippines, and
Definitely.
I kind of gotten used to having the the
Mm-hmm.
the wrap,
The wrap.
right? And you can pretty much put anything there. It doesn't
Yes.
always have to be pork belly. It
Mm,
doesn't always have to be a certain thing. I've tried tuna with it. I've tried other stuff. In fact, for lunch today, this morning, like for lunch earlier, I had the pork liver thing, and I put it on
with
the Chinese cabbage. Yeah, and napa cabbage, and rolled it, and it tasted great. So
yeah,
that
and it would
was
just work, you know?
it does work.
Yeah.
It does work sometimes, but
And
not
yeah.
everything,
Because we would still look
sadly.
for rice, but I guess you just if you're gonna have a no rice meal, then just have a meal that doesn't have rice as the main component, you know? Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna have a no rice meal, then maybe just have, I don't know, like a sandwich, or maybe like eggs, like a burrito breakfast, or
Mm-mm.
these types of meals do not require rice. Then if you're in a no rice meal, then try that.
Mm.
Greek salad, Caesar salad, these types of things. But use sweet potatoes. We have a lot of sweet potatoes and other types of things.
Yeah, it's always a challenge to find the bulk. Like,
Mhm.
you gotta have the bulk, some
we
bulk
got
with
Yeah,
your
we need
meal.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
just
just
incomplete.
have it's weird. It's weird, isn't it? It's like trying to change who you are as a person when you tell someone like stop eating rice.
All right, and speaking about knowing more about the person, we are going to this Instagram dive with. Can I say your handle? Can
Yeah,
people
no
follow you? It's
problem.
at my corny journey. That's a Mimi at So I do
My
this
God.
segment where I just kind of just run through someone's Instagram and just give me a quick um snippet, a memory, an emotion, whatever it is, whenever I mention a post that you had, but just about food. Okay, I found one that's interesting.
Okay.
Okay, I like this. Ooh, this is throwback to 2016. Okay,
Oh my
but you
gosh.
posted
What are you
this.
looking at? I don't even know what's
This
on
was like
there.
just like the early post that you made. This is a May 7th,
Okay.
so not that early. May 7th, and you said one of our very first dates, and it's Abaca Boutique Resort. I did have some beef with Abaca, mentioned in the previous episode, where I vomited
Oh.
because of the coffee.
Oh,
But yeah,
coffee.
yeah. But for
That.
this one, I'm trying to dissect. This is like obviously one of your very first dates, so I hope you could recall this.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot pinpoint what kind of dish this is, but it looks fancy. It has shrimp. Oh, and then I
Yeah.
actually and then I posted this, and I actually commented. It says "kasushal," and it says once every 5 years, Lani. So, comments, thoughts about that post?
Um, well, yeah, that's the thing. My then boyfriend, my husband and I,
Hmm.
when we started going out, like we clearly don't have anything in common. Honestly, like we come from very different backgrounds, and he's also British and I'm not. So that's one big thing. But even though we don't have anything in common, we kind of have we share this appreciation for food,
Hmm.
so it was one of the things that we try to do. So whenever he comes to visit me, we try to visit a restaurant, and we happen to be in Mactan Island then, and I've heard of Abaca and how you know renowned it was. So I,
Bougie.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist asking him to take me there for dinner because, of course, it's gonna be a free meal
Plus, you're already
paid
there.
for by him. This is we're already there. So yeah, I was amazed at how uh everything was. From the very moment you get there, because they have this really small signage out front. Have you been there to that restaurant, the
No,
restaurant
not in
in
Mactan.
So they try to be kind of like very private. So they have this really small signage, maybe about an A4 size paper that says Abaka, and the gates are closed, and it's like a really high fence with closed gates. And then it says on the bottom like honk twice if you want to enter.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they won't open the gates if you
What if you
don't
don't have a
honk
car?
twice. Maybe not, maybe knock twice. I don't know. So, so of course we honked twice and then got in. I was surprised that it was actually open air. I was expecting air conditioning because I knew
Mm,
the place was going to be expensive, and I warned my husband about it, and he said like, "Oh, let's just give it a try. It's just a first time thing." So when we went there and then ordered stuff, I clearly remember what that night was about. It was beautiful. It was great. And then the food came. I think I what I ordered was oh my God, it's a seafood
yeah, it has like
something.
prawns. It has like I don't know, like some sort of glaze, but it looks so
Yeah,
good.
I'm just gonna quickly look up the menu because I'm pretty sure I will remember what it was if I looked at the menu. If I
Hmm.
could just, remember, because I know it was some sort of ugh,
It's just
main course. It was a oh my God. Oh, bouillabaisse.
oh,
So it was salmon, squid, prawns, mussels, clams, crostini. In other words, it was the entire ocean on a plate. So I'm looking at the menu right now, and I can't believe it. We paid like 1,050 pesos.
for
That's
your
what,
own
twenty
plate
dollars?
for
Yeah, twenty
$20 for
dollars for
your
that
own plate.
order. Yeah, and that's expensive for
Hmm.
the
For whatever
Philippines.
standard it is.
Yeah, for whatever standard. So yeah, and then since it was like a date, and then yeah, and my husband was also celebrating his promotion. He got promoted at work then. So he said like, oh, it's okay, let's just splurge a little because this is a good time to celebrate. So we ordered that. We ordered sparkling water, room temperature, all the fancy stuff. I am not joking. And you I swear that was what he ordered. So he ordered a bottle of wine, that dish, and then whatever it was that he had. I forgot what was on that picture, and then yeah, and then I realized that why I quickly realized why that restaurant was renowned. Even if it's very expensive, people still go there. Like sometimes you can't even get a table there. Food was excellent. It was really good.
Worth your
Everything was
money, I
great.
guess.
Yeah, it was worth the money. The portion, the freshness of the seafood. I wouldn't complain. And then I was also quite impressed with the fact that there was a couple that sat next to like on the table next to ours. There was a Japanese couple there, and they asked the waiter. They tried their best to ask the waitress, the hostess, in English what that dish was about. They were asking her to describe it for her, and then I speak a little Japanese, so I can understand it a little bit. And they asked and the hostess asked them like, are you Japanese? And then they said yes, and she began explaining everything in perfect Japanese. informal Japanese, and I'm just like in awe. Like,
Oh,
so you don't get that kind of service from,
mm-hmm.
just any place. So
Oh,
she
so
explained what was inside there, and then that couple who was there was just impressed, just as impressed as I was. So
so
yeah.
definitely a good place to celebrate if you have that moolah. If
The
you
moolah. I
have.
told you it's a once in a 5 year thing. Well, actually, what made it even more memorable, but kind of in a bad way, was that I wasn't able to finish the dish because it was that good. I mean, it was really good, but the portions were big. So, my husband Simon finished the rest of it, and I didn't know that he was actually allergic to some shellfish, like even shrimp. So
Mhm,
he was okay during the meal, and then we drove back to where we were staying then. And I noticed that like when we went to sleep, we went to bed. I noticed that he kept moving, and he wasn't asleep.
mhm.
And then I quickly realized that um his face started to swell, and he was just getting up because he knows that he was gonna end up like suffering from that
Mhm.
meal. So he knew what he needed to do, like get
Oh.
antihistamine and stuff. So it was our first like unpleasant thing to go through as boyfriend girlfriend, so that made it even more memorable.
But he knew that he had like an allergy. He just didn't know what were the ingredients in it, I guess.
So I think he willingly exposed himself to the allergens.
I can do this. Like, I think I'm good. Like,
It,
no,
this
no.
is it's worth the swelling and
Oh.
possible asphyxiation or something. I don't know.
But then, yeah, it's still a really, really, really good dish, I suppose, because you're paying, a premium for it, and then it's a very nice place. So maybe I'll try to go there, with my wife if I have the, if I would splurge a little
Oh, you
bit.
should give it a try at least
Mhm.
once. It's it's
Mhm.
it's worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
what made it expensive was the bottle of wine. If not
Oh,
for the bottle of wine, we could have just
maybe.
easily spent way less than what we did. So
Okay. All right. And now, um, you had a post in September 4th, just a cup of coffee, really simple. There was no tag, so I don't know where it came from. So probably you made this. I don't know. It looks really good, but coffee.
this year,
Yeah, this is the very like the third post that you made,
oh
the
okay.
latest. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you had a cup of coffee, and I guess this is the perfect um, transition, so we could talk about Taza, which is one of your businesses in Cebu City. But let's go with your coffee. Mm, did you make this?
Oh no 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 no! I'm really I guess I'm the businesswoman. I'm not the barista. I know enough to not embarrass myself, but
Mhm.
I'm no expert. I wouldn't call myself an expert. This was actually not in Taza Mia. Where did I get this? I'm trying to think. I actually don't remember.
Oh, but I think it's a good coffee because if you make that kind of latte art. Okay, I'm just assuming like
Yeah,
this is if you
this
make
this
all latte
type of
art.
this type of latte art I know isn't just isn't the kind made by like amateurs.
Mhm.
You need to know how to pour in order to make this, because I've
Mhm.
attempted this and failed
And it
at
kind of
least
looks
a
like
dozen
this.
times.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
oh my
latte
God,
art. So
where did I get that?
people who are just listening to the podcast or you're watching this is
Oh,
like the
you
latte.
know where I had it. I remember now. It's in Bonifacio district in
Okay.
Panagdait in Mabolo, and that's at UCC Cafe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've
that's
never
where I
been
got
to
it.
that cafe. I know it's a very famous place for meetings.
I don't know. It's Japanese,
Mhm.
so it's I guess they, you know how they are. They try to
Mhm.
live up to a very high standard. So
Definitely, for sure. Yeah.
the ones I made, if you're gonna look at my um Instagram feed, are the uglier cups. Where is it?
but
Noob
that
latte art.
but that doesn't mean that you can't appreciate a good cup of coffee, and you may not be a barista, but you deciding to make, I mean, to franchise Taza Mia is maybe, obviously you can't franchise a coffee business if you don't really appreciate coffee. And this one is
Uh,
something that I can't. I mentioned this in the previous episode with Bea Chu. Um, I'm not so much as a coffee fan, but
mm,
that's. But I do right now. I am quite trying to expand my knowledge and appreciation with coffee. So I guess
yeah.
what I wanted to talk about is, what is your relationship with coffee before Tasa?
Um, it's interesting because looking back, I've always kind of appreciated the smell of coffee, even from the instant ones. Um, it was always something, it was almost like a rite of passage that if you've started to actually drink coffee and
You're
appreciate
an
coffee,
adult.
you're an adult. Yeah, because you used to just drink milk and then maybe move on to maybe Milo
Mhm.
or the sugar, whatever sugary drink you could find, and then if you're mature enough, you will drink coffee.
And
So
then
I
beer.
remember that. And then beer, do all other more bitter stuff. That's how it is with life. So that made me think, that is actually true. And then as you get old, you get to the really dark rums and whiskeys and such. I guess that's how it is.
No, I still don't like it. I'm not there yet,
So
maybe.
not there yet. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Don't hurry there. Like, just take your time.
You can tell
So
whiskey drinkers that they're old.
I drink whiskey. I love whiskey. So it's different. But with coffee, I always had like a a very intimate relationship with coffee. I'm no expert. I didn't study much of it, but it was such a big part of my life because when I started working in a call center when I was I was
Teen.
just 18 years old. I
Mhm,
was 18 years old when I started working. And then at some point, I also juggled work and school. So I
mhm,
would go to school during like around 2 in the afternoon all the way to like 7 or 8 or 9 in the evening, and then try to survive a night shift at work. And coffee was the only thing that would let me, keep going. And eventually, when you start earning and then you start trying out more expensive coffee, and
mhm.
then that place that had a mermaid on it, so you give them a try, and then you begin appreciating them. And I've always known that I loved coffee. So when the opportunity came for us to because I actually went to a food fair in Cebu, a food expo, and that was where I got introduced to Taza Mia as a brand. Uh, I wasn't able to remember them very clearly, but I just remember them being a local coffee producer. Like they told me about that the coffee came from the Philippines, roasted in the Philippines by Filipinos for Filipinos, and that was a big deal to me. So when they presented me with the opportunity to open a small stall in Cebu Business Park, I couldn't help but really want to jump onto it. And that's that's pretty much when it all started, and there was I appreciated their coffee even more when I got to try it in Cebu. So yeah, that's why we opened Taza Mia.
And again, I suppose that the other branches are in Manila, and you are the first one to open it in Cebu, or
Actually,
is there a
it's a
different
yes.
branch?
It's a yes and no. It's a bit weird because Tazamia Corporate does actually have corporate clients, so they
Mm-hmm.
provide the coffee for certain BPOs that I'm not allowed to name, and because they do that, so they already have a presence in Cebu, and the employees of those companies recognize the brand, but they don't have but it's
An actual
exclusive.
store. No,
Yeah, but
right.
it's exclusive to
Exclusive
the
for that.
employees.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and it's inside their pantry, so you can't really invite
Mm-hmm.
anyone else to go. So we are the first open to the public stall, and then a year later we opened the one in JY in Lahog, and that's about it.
And I haven't visited
Haven't
your the coffee place Taza at all because I was supposed to go back to Cebu early this year, but everyone knows what happened. So,
Mm.
but I'm pretty sure that people, I guess, in Cebu have appreciated Taza in that district. But for people who probably are not familiar with, even if they are in Cebu City, can you give us like a quick rundown of the go-to coffee orders that they would have, or maybe even pastries that they would usually have? Like, what are the favorites in Taza?
Um, okay, well, first of all, uh, we don't normally call it Taza. We really have to call it Taza Mia because
Taza
there's
Mia.
also another brand. Yeah, there's also another brand in Cebu that's called Taza with a double Z. So,
Oh.
but I believe they're currently because last year they started this process of actually trying to change their name because Tazamia is a trademarked
Mm-hmm.
name, if I remember it correctly. So they do have the rights to the name of Tazamia. So no one can, make a
Oh,
name
yeah,
similar to Tazamia.
yeah,
So they were in the process, and I believe they were doing that, but then COVID hit, so I don't know what happened to that
yeah.
anymore. But I
Oh,
believe
so
they will have to change
not
their
that
name.
Taza.
Not
This
that
Taza,
Taza, yeah.
this Taza Mia.
They also have great pastries too. So yeah, they're also great. But for Tazamia, what we've noticed is that when we opened our stall in Cebu Business Park inside Buildcom Center, which is a fairly new area, this area was very quiet back then. It was just like, a field of grass where people jogged and exercised, but little by little, new buildings have sprouted. so, uh, it was a pretty new area, and not a lot of people can find their way there. But what we've noticed is that even though we weren't a big name in Cebu, it's very well known in Batangas, especially in Lipa, where it was born, where Tazamia as a brand was born. Um, we started having customers, and they started appreciating this very distinct flavor, I guess. um, my favorite, which also happens to be the CEO of Dazamia's favorite drink, is what we call the Cafe Italiano.
Mhm.
So it's very distinctly Tazamia. I haven't tried anything that is close to it. In fact, I couldn't describe what it was, but I found somebody who was able to, and that was from a Food Panda review.
Oh.
Yeah, Food Panda review,
Yeah.
and then that's where he described it. He compared it to something else from a different, bigger brand, and I think that if you're a real coffee lover, you would appreciate the Cafe Italiano. So that's something. But if you want it pure, then you can always give our espresso a shot. It is less acidic, and it's more of a medium roast as well, so the bitterness doesn't like shock you that much.
Mhm.
So, coffee basics is you have a lot of it. There are a lot of factors
Mhm.
that go into like saying your coffee is great or not,
For
right? So
sure.
that's what I would suggest. For the non-coffee,
Yeah,
those who would
like
like to
me.
avoid, yeah,
Like
like you,
my knowledge
I
is just three in one. That's like the thing that I do.
but that's not even bad, because I would say our three in one uh isn't so bad compared to, I don't know, maybe it's just my Filipino taste buds, but as you know, my husband is a pilot, so he's able to like go to all these different places all around the world, and then he'd bring me some packets from hotels, like,
Mhm.
three in one coffee from hotels, and then
They're so bad.
yeah, they're so like they're just so different. They're just so different. So I wouldn't say like if you had Filipino instant coffee, it might not be too bad.
Mhm.
It's quite, you know.
I like it.
I, yeah, so um that's the well, actually, so if you're not into coffee, I would suggest you try out our vanilla cream. It tastes like vanilla ice cream in a drink. And it is so good because it's not just vanilla. There's a hint of uh I forgot if it was there's a hint of cinnamon in it,
I love
and
cinnamon.
it's just, yeah, and it's and of course the vanilla flavor is there, and then it's just really good. But a lot of the customers also like all the other like you know fraps.
Mhm.
Most of our customers have said a lot of great things about our matcha, so
Mhm.
it's really good. Even the matcha latte is also really good, but I'm not a matcha person
Oh, I'm a
so
matcha
much.
person, so
You are,
yeah,
so
I am
you've
a
got
matcha
to give it a
person. I've
try
got
because
to try that.
we've had a lot of compliments from our on our matcha. So the way we make it is probably quite
Mhm.
good.
How would you compare to I mean, like, is Taza Mia like a Bose coffee? Like, is that what I would compare it to, or
Hmm.
is it more of like a Figaro kind of? Wait, it's the same category. Wait, hmm, how would I Yeah, where would you kind of like level yourself with? Are you more of like a Dunkin' Donuts coffee thing, or are you more like a
Mhm.
Starbucks Bose coffee
I,
thing?
I
Are you
I love Dunkin' Donuts coffee, by the way.
That's
So
my favorite
that's also quite
actually.
good.
My Dunkin'
Yeah, that's
Donuts
also
iced.
good.
So that's how basic I am. So when it comes to
Mm.
coffee, my favorite coffee of all time is Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee.
When I'm not in Taza Mia, when Taza Mia is too far for me, I look for a Dunkin' Donuts. I would rather spend that money on like with them than anywhere else if I
Mhm.
want a quality cup of coffee. Um, Actually, I wouldn't want to compare it to anything like that, mainly because I know that the beans are from the Philippines. All those other brands have imported their beans, so it's very different. I I wish it being a franchise, I don't exactly have all the freedom to, in the way we market it, but I always try to like focus on the fact that it is Filipino coffee. We used to be one of the biggest producers of coffee in the world, FYI. So
That's
at some
the
point,
Philippines. Mhm.
FYI, at some point in history, we were the top producing. We were the fourth biggest coffee producer in, I believe, in the 1800s, and when the coffee rust at, happened in the big producers like Brazil and other countries, we became the top and main producer. We charged like 5 times the price of what other Asian countries
Mhm.
would sell their coffee for, because ours was just better than theirs. So,
The
we have the
Barako.
Batanga. Yes, and that is our brewed coffee. So if you order brewed coffee from us, we are going to actually serve you the Liberica or the Barako coffee.
Mhm.
So that's what we do have. So to compare it to like Post Coffee, which is also a local brand born in Cebu, right? To me, it's a bit different because it's a very different culture at the same
Mhm.
time. They're also trying to branch out into more like gourmet coffee,
Right.
like while we try to kind of sit in the middle, like we don't want to be like your your Dunkin' Donuts, like
You like grab
hopping
and go
around.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We don't
You,
want to be like that, but we also want to put our heart into what we do. So we also sell something that's really distinctly good. We are not competing with anybody, but we are trying to show you this identity of Filipino coffee and what it could be, in the hopes that one day perhaps we could be the Starbucks of the Philippines. Who knows?
Mhm.
That's it.
And I guess you just want to have like people who really appreciate coffee and people who want to, like for people who are like me, who are not really coffee drinkers, like you kind of try to accommodate like everyone, because definitely there's a difference, I guess, in coffee culture in the Philippines. Again, I just think based on my discussions with other people, there's this, like, there's the Starbucks level, there's this like entry level of your coffee in those franchises just like sprouting here and
Mhm.
there, and then there's this third wave culture coffee that's also serves like a very niche
Yeah,
market.
those
Um,
are amazing too.
yeah, like these are just really like high quality, and it can be pricey at times, and that also serves like a
Yeah,
different market as well. So
definitely.
I suppose like Taza Mia serves to a more different type of, like, I can't even really pinpoint on who it is, but I guess definitely for sure for people who can appreciate coffee, and for people who want to try coffee in between, because you guys also serve pastries and other types of
Yeah.
non-coffee uh, things and on the menu. What would I have with my coffee if I order in Tasamia?
Well, we have a variety of pastries, cakes and pastries, but we also actually have dishes like pasta and then rice bowls, and we also have our signature sandwiches. What we would normally recommend, if like if the customer likes to have something to really kind of appreciate their coffee better, it's always nice to just pair the bitterness of the coffee with something that's also slightly bitter if they want to just keep that
Mm,
taste of the coffee. So we have like brownies that are slightly more bitter than the other
really?
brownies of other places.
Oh.
The thing with Taza Mia is that for every franchise, we are actually allowed to offer our customers the cakes and pastries that are locally available to us, because every branch is a bit different. Like there are some branches in Luzon that even serve beer. It's a cafe with like
With the beer.
cafe. Yeah, yeah. So they even have beer and all these other food. There's also one that's by the beach. I forgot
Mm.
which branch it was. So it's also a completely different vibe they have going on there. The one we have here in Cebu offers different cakes and pastes. Our best seller will have to be uh, the red velvet cheesecake.
That sounds so
So we've
good.
noticed that it's really good actually.
Mm.
I'm not even a cake person. I do not have the sweet tooth, but I could appreciate it.
Yeah,
Red velvet
same,
cheese.
same.
Yeah, velvet cheesecake. Our gigantic chocolate donuts are also a big hit. They're quite big, like about 6 inches in diameter, or even more.
Like
Or
as big as a saucer or as big as a.
yeah, actually, like slightly bigger than a regular saucer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but definitely nothing, and it has this like custard filling inside. So when
Mhm.
you bite into it, just oozes out. So it's
Ah,
really good
sounds so good.
with coffee. So that's our best seller. You should also give our oatmeal cookies a try.
Oh,
That's
I love my
also
oatmeal
like,
cookies. Yeah, that's what I always
yeah.
order in the Mermaid.
In fact, in the mermaid, one of our friends, Ivy, she
Uh-huh.
actually she's already ordered the red velvet cheesecake twice.
Uh-huh.
For
Twice in
like
one sitting?
her. No. She ordered the whole cake,
Oh.
a whole cake for her mom's birthday, and I think it was also for Christmas or something like that. So she said that it was her mom's favorite, so
Oh my
she
God.
kept coming back.
I want to
I'm
try
quite
that because I love
mm,
cheesecake and I love red velvet. My wife doesn't like cheesecake. I think she's like iffy with red velvet, but I love red velvet. And, and man, I want to try that. I really, really want to
put
try
them
that.
together.
Cheesecake and red velvet, like boom, perfect combination. Oh my god, I'm really really excited to try that. But I didn't know, but I thought like if you want to complement your coffee, you complement with something sweet because it's like balancing it out. But maybe I'll
Hmm.
try the bitter, slightly bitter
Uh,
brownie. I don't know what kind of experience I'm gonna have. Like if
well,
it.
I guess that's why a lot of people also like cheesecakes with their coffee because you know how like the
Mhm.
saltiness of the
Yeah, yeah,
cheesecake brings out the
yes.
sweetness of their coffee, but also a lot of people also quite uh savor the bitterness of the coffee. That's like the third element you get from the coffee
Mhm.
when you brew it or when it goes through the process, and that's something that not everybody is like enjoys, but
Right.
coffee connoisseurs might actually
Mhm.
prefer to stick with that rather
Yeah.
than contradict it with something else.
And it's something as for us Filipinos, I guess that we should try to enhance because we always associate bitterness to like it's iwi or like it's not good, but bitter is
Hmm.
a flavor, and
It
and
is.
and I guess we just have to learn to appreciate that flavor. It doesn't mean that if it's bitter, it's bad. Sometimes
Yeah,
why can you appreciate whiskey or beer? Like that's bitter as
exactly,
hell.
exactly.
But you can't
Um,
appreciate a good ampalaya.
wait, that I don't know if has anybody ever told you like, oh, I appreciate my ampalaya. I mean, it's called the bitter gourd.
Oh
It has even has an ugly name. So
but for some cultures, they have some dishes that they really appreciate the bitterness, and I guess coffee and bitterness plays a very integral part. Bitterness is a flavor that is
mm,
exceptionally sometimes even overpowering in a coffee, and I guess people like me or maybe I'll try to slowly appreciate bitter as a
yeah.
flavor.
And it's not just bitter actually. So it's a mix of everything, and the
Mhm,
bitterness just pulls them together.
mhm.
So it's like
Right.
how like you get the fruitiness
Mhm.
of the beans and
Sometimes it
the
even tastes like
acidity.
wine. Right, it has its
Yeah.
fruity tones and
Yeah,
adjectives
because
that I don't know how to use.
coffee has those too, those fancy notes that you
Mhm.
get. So,
Yes.
like,
Mhm.
depending on its origin, how it was roasted. right? So and then the type of coffee itself, if it's Arabica versus the common ones, so it's very different. And
I was supposed to say indica, but that's not a coffee.
what are you on right now? This is the reason why people have coffee in the morning. This is why people have coffee in the morning so they don't like blurt out indica, arabica.
Like I was thinking, what other coffee beans do I know? Arabica, indica.
What
Wait,
we
that's not a coffee.
what we actually use in Taza Mia is a mix of Arabica, of course. We also use, the most common one, Robusta, and we also have Excelsa. And
Yeah, I don't know
our
those words.
yeah, so Arabica is the most expensive or
Mhm,
more special ones. In fact, they say that the best coffee in the Philippines is the um, Arabica from Benguet.
mhm,
We don't use that because it's quite pricey,
mhm.
but I'm sure it's worth a try. I've been meaning to go and give it a try. It won several awards actually, I heard. So yeah, so Arabica is the most expensive. Robusta is more common, and then Excelsa is also um I've read is a little bit similar to Liberica, which is what we call Barako coffee. So it is a bit similar. So that's the blend that we use.
And
FYI.
yes, and for people who are going to Cebu after this pandemic, or people who are in Cebu, I guess people can definitely check it out as soon as things are getting way better, hopefully,
Hmm.
in this next following months. But are you guys you guys are open right now, I suppose. Are you open for deliveries or in any of that?
Yeah, yes, we actually are. So unfortunately, we have had to close our first branch in Cebu,
Mm-hmm.
which was in the Cebu Business Park because it was so quiet, and our most of our customers were um, software companies. I mean, the companies that are were in the area were software now, and they were all made to work from home. And
And
most of
just
these companies
difficult.
have decided to just stay and keep their employees at home. So what's the point? So we just had
Mm-hmm.
to and but we our JY Square branch, it's right across Jollibee in Lahug, along Gerardo Avenue, is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. with the with plans of extending our hours eventually. So it's a little stagnant right now, but we do expect it to pick up as soon as everything kind of just normalizes. And yeah, we are planning on opening another branch in Tabonok, right in our
Is the
auto
first time
repair
that you
shop.
mentioned this? Is the first?
This is in the works. We
Oh,
are
okay.
um
Mm-hmm.
in fact, I'm in the process of like buying materials to set it up inside
Oh, you heard it here first.
auto repair shop.
People from
Inside our
Talisay.
auto repair shop. So while you wait for your car getting serviced or for your PMS, you can sit back and relax with
Mm-hmm.
our excellent coffee and Netflix and Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm. People from
So that's
Talisay
why
can
I
definitely
said.
appreciate it. You know.
Yeah, we have very few coffee shops here. We have a ton of milk tea places, but we'll see. Talisay people may just be the coffee kind.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Well, Talisay, you
We'll
better
see.
show up.
I don't want to say anything about that, but let's see. Let's just see. Okay.
Right. And just maybe just probably closing this discussion. I've talked to multiple restaurant owners in the podcast, and everyone has felt the effect of the Rona, whether if it's a big business, or businesses that are the usual mom and pop micro businesses. And I've also talked to other people who've decided to put up a business during this pandemic. So it has definitely given a drastic effect on the food industry as a whole. It's not just, I am definitely for sure, even the big businesses they have definitely felt
Surely.
um,
Yeah.
the 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 wrath of Rona. And I guess this is just my way of trying to, like, my own way of reaching out to local businesses, big or small, to help them, like, patronize our food industry in Cebu or in the world in general. So we hope, for people listening, or to check out the food spots that are there and that are still not closing. Help them out
Yeah,
one
and
way or another.
try to support local as much as you can.
Because you're not
It
helping a
really is hard.
conglomerate, you're not helping a
Yeah.
capitalist.
Even if the conglomerates are suffering, all the more the small businesses like ours.
Right. And where can they find you? Where can they find Taza Mia in social media?
Okay, well, we have our Facebook page for Taza Mia Coffee, Cebu. So at the moment, we have the Taza Mia Coffee JY Prestigio page up, and we are also on Food Panda and Grab and Panda Go. So whatever is not on our menu, you can actually just contact us directly, and we can set up a delivery, a special delivery for you as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. We you can also just drop by and visit us at JY Presidio, and that's in Lahog, right across Jollibee on Gordo Avenue, right where you find the Rose Pharmacy and Maybach. That's the spot.
All right, and I guess hopefully one day I could go to Taza Mia and order myself a cafe Italiano um, with a red velvet cheesecake. Like that's like
Yeah, that's a good plan.
that's the first thing
Yeah.
that I'm definitely going to try for sure. Thank you so much. I have a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I guess like we already ran for about an hour.
That went fast. That went by really fast.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Again, where can they find you this time in social media if it's open to the public?
Well, actually, my Instagram is private.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called my corny journey. I've been trying to decide whether or not to change that, but yeah, on social media you'll find me as Mimi Biswas, but you'll find that there are like at least 200 of us named Mimi Biswas.
Really?
Apparently,
I didn't know that was that common.
it it apparently is from where my husband's family is from. So just
Oh,
take your pick among that
mm.
list. Yeah, so
So
that's it.
no, no, it's off
And
limits. If off limits for public display. But you can definitely catch her it's either in her in Talisay, or in JY. She might serve you.
yeah.
She might help you with your car. Or she might help you with your coffee.
I have to admit I probably know more about cars than I do with coffee, but I enjoy coffee more than I do enjoy cars. So
Right,
let's
but
just
you know
stick
that
to that.
you're working with both, and that is like a testament to the different skill sets that you are proficient with.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
for
We have a lot to talk about. We'll see if we could
so
talk about
much, too
more the
much.
other time. But yeah, thank you so
Right.
much. And do you have
Well, thank you for
anything you
having
wanna?
me. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope to listen to all the other episodes myself.
Mm-hmm. And if you wanna give a shout out to someone or to.
Um, well, I don't know. I guess I'd say hi to my husband who's using my Spotify account. I'm kidding. and and then my son Miguel, who's like trying to learn his Filipino online. So yeah, to hi to those two
Uh,
precious people.
yes, shout out to Mickey. Shout out to your husband who's still, I guess, is still working in so wherever he is. Is he
Actually,
flying
no, he
or
stopped now.
oh he stopped now? Oh okay.
Yeah, all because of Rona.
Uh-huh. The Rona, man, the Rona. So more we
Yeah.
support each other. Thank you so much. Hold on,
You're welcome and thank you, and you have a great day, Sid.
mhm.